Hidden in the crowd, they cannot see you. Solitary by design, your cloak is on. Stop. Don't scroll. Freeze. There is a specific frequency hitting your spirit right now, a sudden, unexplainable heaviness in your chest, and a mental static that makes it hard to focus on the person speaking right in front of you. You are sitting in a room full of people, perhaps even people you love. Yet you feel as though you are standing on the surface of the moon, watching them from a distance of 1,000 miles. You hear their laughter, you see their mouths moving, but there's a profound, aching silence in your soul that tells you that you do not belong to this frequency. You feel invisible, not because you lack value, but because you are being covered by something you cannot see. You're wondering how this is so specific. Enlist now for this clarity. Comment the code AWAKE. Reply to your own comment with the word RECEIVED. Then find one other person in this thread and tell them I'm standing with you. This is how we break the isolation. Hear this: the emptiness you feel in a crowded room is not a mental health crisis. It is a spiritual positioning. You have been searching for a connection that the world is currently incapable of giving you because you are operating under a divine cloak. God says, I have hidden you in plain sight so the enemy cannot track your progress. You have been frustrated, feeling like a ghost in your own life, wondering why your words seem to fall flat or why people look right through you, even when you are giving your all. This is your confirmation that the distance you feel is a tactical border established by the heavens. You are not being abandoned. You are being insulated. When you are in a season of high-level warfare, the most dangerous thing you can be is accessible. If everyone could see the weight of the glory you are carrying, the spiritual predators in your environment would descend upon you before you were strong enough to carry the mantle. This is why when you walk into a grocery store or a family gathering, you feel a sudden uneasy air or a restless sleep that follows after being social. It is because your spirit is reacting to the friction of being a high-frequency vessel in a low-frequency environment. Imagine a high-voltage wire being forced into a household socket. There is heat, there is static, and eventually there is a shutdown. You are that wire. You have been trying to force your divine current into sockets that were never designed to hold your power. God says, stop trying to fit where I am trying to pull you out from. This isolation is the steel-gray reality of a soldier being pulled from the civilian population for specialized training. You cannot be a general and a commoner at the same time. The price of the rank is the solitude of the position. Hear this. The mental static you experience is actually a jamming signal. In the spiritual realm, when a chosen one is about to receive a new set of instructions or a new weapon of discernment, the enemy attempts to flood the local atmosphere with noise. This noise manifests as trivial drama, sudden irritability without cause, or a feeling of being on edge for no reason. You find yourself annoyed by the small talk of others, not because you are arrogant, but because your spirit is starving for substance. And all you are being fed is hushed whispers of the mundane. You are looking for deep purple discernment, the ability to see the unseen pressure behind the smiles, while everyone else is content with the surface. Consider this micro scene. You are at a dinner table. The lights are warm, the food is good, and the conversation is flowing. Yet, in the middle of a sentence, you feel a sudden shift. The air becomes thick, like you're trying to breathe through a wet cloth. You look at the person across from you, and for a split second, you don't see a friend. You see a spiritual vacuum. You realize they aren't listening to you. They are just waiting for their turn to speak. You realize that if you stopped talking right now, they wouldn't even notice the silence. In that moment, the loneliness hits you like a physical blow. You feel a tightness in your chest. That is not depression. That is your spiritual silver edge cutting through the illusion. You are seeing the reality that most people are operating on autopilot, and because you are awake, you can no longer participate in the dream. God says, I am refining your appetite for companionship. You have been crying out for people to understand you, but I have allowed this cloak of invisibility to remain, because I am teaching you how to stand alone before I ask you to lead thousands. If you cannot handle the silence of the hidden season, you will not be able to handle the roar of the battlefield. The static you feel is the sound of your old life fading out so that my voice can become the primary signal. Hear this. This is your first tactical step in the protocol of the hidden. You must stop apologizing for your distance. You have been spending your energy trying to reconnect with people whom God has intentionally moved out of your alignment. Every time you try to force a connection that has been spiritually severed, you leak power. You leave the dinner or the party feeling drained, not because you are an introvert, but because you were engaged in a spiritual tug of war you weren't supposed to be in. You were trying to pull them into your light, but the cloak kept you hidden, and the resulting friction exhausted your spirit. God says the invisibility is your safety. Think of a submarine. When it is on the surface, it is vulnerable to every radar and every missile. But when it dives into the deep, dark water, into the isolation of the abyss, it becomes untraceable. You are in a deep dive season. The pressure you feel is the pressure of the depth, not the pressure of the enemy. The enemy is currently scanning the surface of your life, looking for the you they used to know, the you that was easy to trigger, the you that was desperate for approval. But because you are cloaked in this divine loneliness, they can't find the target. They are firing missiles at a version of you that no longer exists. Hear this. This is your confirmation that the heaviness on the mind you've been feeling is actually the weight of the armor being fitted to your soul. You feel on edge because your spiritual senses are being sharpened. You are sensing the unseen pressure of the principalities that govern the spaces you walk through. When you walk into a room and feel irritability without cause, it is often because the atmosphere is hostile to the Christ in you. You are picking up on the spirits of envy, competition, or stagnant religiosity that others are blind to. This is a micro scene of your daily battle. You wake up feeling fine, but the moment you step out of your door and enter the crowd, the workplace, the school, the transit, you feel a sudden chest tightness. You start to doubt your calling. You start to feel like a fraud. You think, if I were really chosen, I wouldn't feel this empty. This is the lie of the enemy. The enemy wants you to mistake cloaking for rejection. He wants you to believe that God has forgotten you in the shadows. But hear this. God does not hide garbage. He hides treasure. He hides the blueprints of the next move. He hides the weapon until the moment of the strike. God says, I am the one who closed the doors you are trying to kick open. You've been wondering why certain people stopped calling, why you weren't invited to that gathering, or why your social circle has shrunk to almost nothing. It was not their choice. It was my command. I put a wall of steel gray realism around you to see who was willing to climb it to get to you. And if they weren't willing to climb, they aren't equipped to walk with you into what's coming next. You have been mourning the loss of the crowd, but I am celebrating the protection of the remnant. The first tactical step you must take today is to embrace the silence of the cloak. Instead of fighting the invisibility, lean into it. When you are in a crowd and you feel that mental static, do not try to talk louder or act more normal. Instead, go inward. Use that moment to commune with the Spirit. Say, Lord, thank you for hiding me. Thank you that the enemy cannot see what you are building in this silence. The moment you stop resisting the isolation, the chest tightness will begin to lift. The tension comes from you trying to be seen when God has mandated that you be hidden. Hear this. Your invisibility is causing confusion in the camp of the enemy. They had a plan for your life based on your old patterns. They thought they knew how to break you. They expected you to stay in the cycle of people-pleasing and external validation. But now that you have entered this cloaked phase, their data is obsolete. They are looking at your coordinates and seeing nothing but steel gray mist. This is why you feel uneasy air. It is the friction of the enemy's scouts trying to find a way through your divine perimeter. God says, I am training you in the art of spiritual intelligence. This season of being lonely in a crowd is teaching you how to read spirits without being influenced by them. When you are invisible, you see the truth about people. You see their motives. You see their pain. You see the spirits they are entertaining because they aren't performing for you anymore since they don't see you. This is your deep purple discernment being activated. You are gathering intel that will be vital for the season of Silver Edge action that is approaching. Think about another micro scene. You are sitting in a meeting. Everyone is talking about the plan, about the future, about how things should be. You sit there and a sudden feeling on edge comes over you. You realize that everything they are saying is built on sand. You see the cracks in the foundation that no one else sees. You try to speak, but your voice feels small or the words don't come out right. You leave the meeting feeling like an outsider. God says, I blocked your speech because that plan is not for you. I let you see the cracks so you would know where not to build. Hear this. This is your confirmation. The restless sleep you've been having is not because of stress. It's because your spirit is being summoned to the war room while your body tries to rest. In the middle of the night, when the world is quiet and the crowd is gone, that's when the cloak is most transparent for you. That is when the instructions are being downloaded. If you find yourself awake at 3:00 a.m., do not reach for your phone to see what the crowd is doing. Reach for the word. The crowd has nothing for you. The crowd is moving in circles. You are being called to move in a straight silver line. This feeling of being lonely in a crowd is a signature of the remnant. Look at the history of the chosen. They were always pulled away before they were pushed forward. Joseph was in a pit then, a prison before he was in a palace. Moses was in a desert for 40 years. David was in caves. Isolation is the womb of authority. If you are not comfortable being nobody in the eyes of the world, you will never be somebody in the courts of heaven. God says, I am breaking the addiction to the applause of men. You have been a prisoner to what people think of you. You have been a slave to the social sink. But in this steel gray season, I am cutting those chains. I am making you invisible so you can finally be yourself. When no one is watching, you can finally hear my heart. When no one is applauding, you can finally find your true rhythm. Hear this. The enemy's tactic right now is to turn your isolation into shame. He whispers that you are alone because you are weird, because you are a failure, or because God has rejected you. But look at the evidence. When you are alone, do you feel a sense of peace that you don't feel in the crowd? When you are in the deep purple atmosphere of prayer, does the static stop? If so, then the isolation is not a punishment. It is a sanctuary. The unseen pressure you feel in public is often the result of spiritual leakage from others. Because you are a chosen one, you are a natural sink for the burdens of others. Without the silver edge of boundaries, you will soak up the mental static of everyone in a 5-mile radius. This is why you feel heaviness on the mind after a simple trip to the mall. You are not just walking through a building. You are walking through a battlefield of competing desires, fears, and demonic assignments. Your cloak is your protection against this. If you don't learn to stay under the cloak, you will be crushed by the weight of a world you were never meant to carry. God says, I am teaching you how to walk in the world, but not be of it. This means being able to stand in the middle of a crowd, fully present, but spiritually untouchable. It means having a heart that is open to me, but a spirit that is silver-plated against the debris of the masses. Hear this. This is the first protocol. You must settle the spirit. When the feeling of invisibility hits you, instead of panic, choose vigilant peace. Recognize that you are currently in a stealth mission. You are an operative of the kingdom moving through enemy-occupied territory. An operative doesn't want to be the center of attention. An operative wants to blend in, observe and execute the assignment. Your current assignment is observation and internal strengthening. Micro Scene 3. You are walking through your neighborhood. You see neighbors talking. You see the normal life of people who seem so connected. A wave of irritability without cause hits you. You think, why can't I just be like them? Why does everything have to be so heavy, so spiritual, so difficult? God says. Because they are citizens of this world, and you are an ambassador of another. An ambassador never connects fully with the local population. They are always a representative of their home country. Hear this, the uneasy air is the atmospheric resistance to your divine citizenship. The world senses that you are an alien, a stranger in a strange land. Even if they can't see your cloak, they can feel the silver edge of your spirit, and it makes them uncomfortable. This is why people sometimes react to you with unprovoked hostility or coldness. They are not reacting to you. They are reacting to the light that is being filtered through your cloak. Even a muffled light is blinding to those who live in total darkness. God says, do not take the coldness of the world personally. It is a sign that your cloak is working. It is a sign that you are no longer syncing with the system of this world. You are being unplugged. The mental static is the sound of the old wires being pulled out. It is painful, it is noisy, and it makes you feel on edge. But it is necessary for the new connection and the direct fiber optic link to the throne room. Hear this. This is your tactical instruction for the next 24 hours. When you feel the loneliness creep in while you are among people, do not try to fix it. Do not try to crack a joke to get a laugh. Do not try to explain yourself. Simply stand in your steel gray authority. Breathe. Acknowledge that you are cloaked. Say internally, I am hidden in Christ. My life is not my own. I am here on assignment. Watch how the atmosphere shifts when you stop trying to belong and start trying to represent. God says, I am building a new kind of connection for you. It won't be based on the static of the world. It will be based on the deep purple resonance of the Spirit. You will find others who are also cloaked. You will recognize them not by their faces, but by their frequency. This is why you are here reading this, responding to the code, awake. You are finding the others. You are realizing that you are not lonely in the way the world defines it. You are selective. Hear this? The enemy wants to use this season to make you bitter. He wants you to resent the people who don't see you. He wants you to develop a victim spirit. Poor me, no one understands me. Reject that silver-edged lie. You are not a victim of isolation. You are a victor in training. Every moment of invisibility is a moment where you are being armored without distraction. If you were popular right now, you would be too busy maintaining your image to build your character. God says, I have stripped away the image so I can establish the substance. This is why you feel heavy. Substance is heavy. Gold is heavy. Glory is heavy. The lightness of the world is just emptiness. You are being filled with a weight of glory that the crowd cannot carry. As you move through this first phase of the protocol, pay attention to your chest tightness. Is it really anxiety, or is it spiritual G-force? When a pilot accelerates, they feel a pressure on their chest. You are accelerating spiritually. You are moving faster than the people around you, even if you are sitting still. The static in your mind is the sound of the wind rushing past your spirit as you are being propelled out of the lowlands and into the high places. Hear this. The reason you feel restless. Sleep is because the high places don't have the same oxygen levels as the lowlands. You are adjusting to a new atmosphere. You are learning how to breathe the air of heaven while walking on the soil of earth. This is a difficult transition. It requires vigilant focus. God says, look at your hands, not your physical hands, but the silver edge of your actions. Are you still trying to do things the old way? Are you still trying to hustle and grind to be seen? If so, the uneasy air will only get thicker. The protocol of the cloaked is to move in grace, not pace. When you are cloaked, you don't have to run. You just have to be. Hear this. This is the first proof. Think back to a time recently when you felt completely ignored, yet something lucky or miraculous happened for you without you having to lift a finger. That was the cloak. While you were invisible to the people who could have helped you, you were visible to the angels who did help you. God says, I will provide for you in the secret place so that no man can take credit for your rise. This is the steel gray reality. You are being prepared for a confrontation. You are being isolated because a soldier who is too attached to the crowd will hesitate to fire when the command is given. You are being detached so that your silver edge is sharp and your loyalty is undivided. Hear this. The static is beginning to clear, but only because you are starting to accept the silence. You are starting to see that being lonely in a crowd is actually a position of power. You are the observer. You are the one with the intel. You are the one who is armed while everyone else is amused. God says, watch the next 72 hours. There will be a moment where the cloak will momentarily lift and someone will see you, truly see you. Not for what you can do for them, but for who you are in me. This will be your sign that the isolation is not permanent, but purposeful. It will be a silver moment of clarity in a gray world. But until then, stay in the protocol. Stay in the deep purple discernment. Do not go looking for the crowd. Let the crowd wonder where you went. Let them wonder why you've changed. You haven't changed. You've just been covered. Hear this. The enemy is frustrated. He is trying to provoke you into showing your hand. He is sending irritability and mental static to make you act out, to make you scream. Look at me, so he can get a lock on your position. Do not give him the satisfaction. Stay quiet. Stay cloaked. Stay vigilant. God says, I am the general, and I have placed you exactly where you need to be. The dinner table, the office, the crowded street. These are your battle stations. You aren't there to join the party. You are there to hold the line. You are there to be a spiritual thermostat that regulates the atmosphere, even if no one knows who turned the dial. As we move deeper into this intelligence, the symptoms will start to make more sense. The feeling on edge is your radar picking up on the shift in the spiritual climate. Something is coming, something big, and the cloaked ones are the only ones who will be ready for it. Hear this. You've been wondering why this is so specific. It's because the Spirit of God is tired of you feeling like a failure for being different. He wants you to know that the difference is the weaponry. You don't use a silver sword to cut paper. You use it to cut through the darkness. And a sword is always kept in a sheath of cloak until the moment of the battle. God says you are in the sheath. It's dark in there. It's tight. It's lonely. But it is the only place where the edge stays sharp. If you were out in the open, you would be dulled by the world. You would be rusted by the static of the mundane. Hear this. This is your first tactical step to relief. Stop fighting the sheath. Embrace the darkness of the hidden season. The moment you stop trying to get out, you will start to hear what is being whispered in. The uneasy air you feel is the world trying to pull you out of your sheath before you are ready. The world hates a mystery. The world hates something it cannot categorize. Because you are cloaked, they can't put a label on you. Are you a success, a failure, a leader, a follower? They don't know. And that not knowing creates a pressure in them that you feel as mental static. God says let them be confused. Your identity is not found in their categories. Your identity is hidden in my name. Consider this. When you are lonely in a crowd, you are actually in the most crowded place in the universe, the cloud of witnesses. You are surrounded by the heavenly host, but because they are deep purple and silver and the world is gray, you feel alone. You are looking for human faces when you should be looking for a spiritual presence. Hear this. This is the confirmation you've been waiting for. The chest tightness you felt earlier today was a call to prayer. It wasn't an anxiety attack. It was a signal flare from your spirit. It was your soul saying, the atmosphere here is toxic. Let's talk to the Father. The moment you turned your thoughts to Him, did the pressure ease even for a second? That is the protocol. God says, I am your sanctuary. You don't have to leave the room to find me. You can stay in the crowd under the cloak, and we can have a conversation that no one else can hear. This is the ultimate warfare strategy to be in the enemy's face and in the Father's lap at the same time. Hear this. As we continue this protocol, we are going to look at the escalation. Because once the enemy realizes he can't find you, he's going to start shaking the environment to see what falls out. He's going to increase the static. He's going to target your boundaries. But you are ready. You are awake. You are armed. You are steady. God says, do not fear the shaking. A cloak doesn't fall off just because the ground moves. A sword doesn't break just because the sheath is rattled. Hear this. The steel-gray realism of your life is that you are a soldier. And a soldier doesn't expect the battlefield to be comfortable. The loneliness is just the quiet before the strike. Now listen closely. The first proof that this is working is the shift in response. Watch how people who used to dominate your time suddenly seem uncomfortable around you. Watch how they start to make excuses to leave. This is not because they don't like you. It's because the silver edge of your silence is convicting their gray spirits. God says, I am clearing the deck. I am removing the noise so you can hear the signal. Hear this. The restless sleep will continue for a few more nights as your frequency is being adjusted. Do not fight it. Use the time. The static will eventually turn into a song. This is the end of the first movement. The symptoms have been identified. The cause, the divine cloak, has been revealed. The first tactical step, embracing the sheath, has been given. But the battle is just beginning. The enemy is about to change tactics. He's moving from searching to surrounding. He's going to try to use the very people you feel lonely around to create a false urgency. God says stay in the cloak. Yarm, hear this. You are not crazy. You are not alone. You are just strategic. The deep purple pressure you feel is the hand of God pressing you into your purpose. It feels like invisibility from the outside, but from the inside, it is formation. God says, wait for the next command. The silver edge is almost ready. This is your first proof. This is your first step. The isolation is your armor. The silence is your weapon. Stay vigilant. Stay cloaked. God says, I have not forgotten you in the crowd. I am the one who moved you to the edge of it. Hear this. The static is fading. The steel gray is hardening. The silver is shining. You are a chosen one, and your invisibility is the most dangerous thing the enemy has ever encountered. Wait for the signal. God says, hear this. The transition from being hidden to being targeted happens the moment you stop trying to fix the isolation. The enemy has realized that the invisibility cloak God placed over you is not a temporary glitch, but a permanent strategic upgrade. This is where the escalation begins. You've noticed that the mental static has shifted from a low hum to a piercing screech, and the uneasy air is no longer just a feeling, it is a localized storm that follows you into every room. This is the steel-gray reality of spiritual warfare. Once the enemy can no longer manipulate you through your need for the crowd, he will try to crush you using the weight of the crowd itself. God says, I am teaching you how to hold your position when the atmosphere turns heavy. You are currently experiencing a phenomenon called atmospheric resistance. Think of a jet breaking the sound barrier. The closer it gets to that breakthrough, the more the air itself becomes like a solid wall. You feel on edge because you are pressing against the limits of your current dimension. The isolation you felt in the first pass was the deep purple preparation, but now the steel-gray battle is heating up. You're wondering how this is so specific. It's because the symptoms you are feeling the sudden, inexplicable chest tightness when you try to pray, the restless sleep filled with strange, chaotic imagery, and the irritability without cause toward people you usually tolerate are the direct result of a spiritual frequency jammer being deployed against your household. Hear this, the enemy is currently running a search and provoke operation. Because your cloak is active, he cannot see your blueprint, but he can see the ripple you leave in the spirit. He is watching for a reaction. He is waiting for you to get so frustrated with the loneliness that you ping the radar by lashing out, complaining, or seeking validation from the wrong sources. Every time you explain yourself to someone who is spiritually blind, you are giving away your coordinates. God says your silence is your fortress, and your boundaries are your trenches. Consider this micro scene. You are at your workplace, or perhaps a community gathering. There is a false urgency in the air. Everyone is running around stressed over a problem that in the grand scheme of eternity is completely trivial. Someone approaches you, their voice high-pitched and frantic, demanding that you pick up the pace or join the chaos. You feel a heaviness on the mind because your spirit knows this is a trap. If you join their frequency, you lose your silver edge of discernment. You feel the chest tightness because you are resisting the urge to sync with their panic. In that moment, God says, stand still. Do not let their fire burn your field. You are a high-frequency vessel. Do not lower your voltage to power their low-level drama. Hear this. This is your confirmation. The mental static you've been experiencing is a sign that you are being paged by the heavens for a deeper level of intelligence. The enemy knows that if you can hear the signal clearly, his reign in your bloodline is over. So he floods your environment with noise. This noise takes the form of broken mirrors. People will start to look at you and see things that aren't there. They will accuse you of being distant, arrogant, or cold. They are not seeing you. They are seeing the reflection of their own lack of peace. You have become a steel-gray mirror, and the crowd hates what it sees in the reflection. God says, I have made your forehead like flint. This is a tactical command. You must develop a silver edge to your boundaries that does not care about being liked. In the previous season, you were the one who smoothed things over. You were the empath who absorbed everyone's mental static to keep the peace. But in this cloaked season, the peace you are keeping is not yours to give away. You are a steward of the divine atmosphere. When you feel that uneasy air around a certain person, you are being given deep purple intelligence. Your spirit is telling you that they are a vulnerability point. Hear this. The restless sleep you've been having is actually a night watch assignment. While the crowd sleeps, the cloaked ones are being shown the enemy's movements. If you wake up with your heart racing, it is not an anxiety attack. It is an alert. Your spirit has detected an intruder in your mental space. This is the time for the steel gray protocol. Do not scroll on your phone. Do not look for a distraction. Sit in the silence. Let the silver edge of the Word of God cut through the fog. God says, I am giving you the keys to the armory in the middle of the night. Think of this second micro scene. You receive a text message or a phone call at an odd hour. It's someone from your past or a friend who only calls when they are in crisis. As you look at the screen, you feel a sudden weight on the chest. You feel on edge. This person is a frequency drainer. They are being used by the enemy to bait you out of your cloaked position. They want your empathy, but they don't want your God. They want to use your light to decorate their darkness. God says, this is a boundary test. If you answer, you are agreeing to carry a burdens I never placed on you. Put the phone down. The silence you feel after you say no is the sound of your victory. Hear this. The irritability without cause is often your spirit's reaction to spiritual counterintelligence. The enemy sends shadow people into your life. People who seem nice, but who are secretly gathering data on your weaknesses. They ask deep purple questions with steel gray intentions. They want to know why you've changed. They want to know your secret. God says you owe no one an explanation for my work in you. A general does not explain the battle plan to the janitor. Keep your silver edge sharp and your mouth shut. This is the deeper mechanism the enemy is trying to scent you. Just as a predator tracks prey by its scent, the spiritual enemy tracks the chosen one by their emotional fumes. Anger, fear, and the need for approval are the strongest scents. When you stay vigilant and steady, when you refuse to react to the mental static of the crowd, you become odorless in the spirit. You become a ghost. This is why the isolation feels so heavy. You are learning how to exist without the scent of human validation. It is a steel gray training ground for the soul. Hear this. This is your confirmation. The sudden confusion you feel in the middle of a conversation is actually a divine interruption. God is scrambling your ability to understand the small talk because He is trying to get you to listen to the big talk. While people are talking about the weather or the news, your spirit is picking up on the deep purple frequency of a shift in the global atmosphere. You are sensing the unseen pressure of the coming move of God, and the mundane conversation feels like mental static because it is. God says, do not apologize for your fog. It is the cloud of my presence protecting you from the trivial. Consider a third micro scene. You are in a grocery store, a place of extreme gray noise. You're just trying to buy bread, but you feel heaviness on the mind. You look at the people around you and you feel an overwhelming sense of real battle. You see the spirits of poverty, addiction, and despair clinging to people like thick steel gray capes. You feel on edge because your silver edge is reacting to the darkness. In that moment, you realize you aren't just a shopper, you are a portal. Your presence in that building is shifting the spiritual climate, even if no one says a word. God says, this is why I hidden you. If they knew who you were, they would swarm you. But because you are cloaked, you can walk through the camp of the enemy and release my peace without a single shot being fired. Hear this. The uneasy air you feel when you return home from being in the crowd is residual frequency. You've picked up hitchhikers in your spirit, the thoughts and anxieties of the people you walked past. This is the protocol you must decontaminate. When you step through your door, you must consciously silver cut the connections. Say, I do not belong to the crowd. I do not carry the static. I am a cloaked vessel of the Most High. Watch how the chest tightness vanishes when you claim your steel gray perimeter. God says, I am raising the stakes. You have been asking for relief, but I am giving you refining. The loneliness is the furnace. If you can stay in the furnace without trying to open the door, you will come out as silver, pure, sharp, and reflective of my face. The enemy is trying to convince you that the furnace is a prison. But hear this, the only things that burn in this furnace are the steel gray chains that used to bind you to the opinions of others. Hear this, this is your second tactical step. You must sanctify the static. Instead of fighting the mental static, use it as a prayer prompt. Every time you feel that on-edge sensation, instead of looking for a way to calm down, look for a way to level up. Ask, Lord, what are you showing me in this static? Whose spirit am I sensing? What boundary is being tested? This shifts you from a victim of the atmosphere to a commander of the frequency. God says the escalation is a sign of your promotion. You have moved from the outer court where everyone can see you to the Holy of Holies, where only I can see you. The heaviness you feel is the weight of the veil. It is a thick, deep purple protection that keeps the gray world out. The enemy is clawing at the veil, trying to find a gap. He uses your family, your friends, and your co-workers to find a tear in your armor. They will say things like, "You've changed," or "You're not fun anymore." This is Silver Edge confirmation that the veil is working. Hear this. The false urgency trap is the enemy's favorite weapon in this stage. He will create crises that only you can solve. He will make you feel like the world will fall apart if you don't sync with the chaos. But God says, I am the one who holds the world. You are not the savior, you are the soldier. A soldier does not leave his post to help a civilian with a flat tire unless the general gives the order. Learn the steel gray discipline of staying at your post even when the world is screaming for your attention. Think about this micro scene. A person you once trusted comes to you with gossip disguised as a prayer request. They are dumping mental static into your space. You feel the uneasy air immediately. Your silver edge is vibrating. In the past, you would have listened, absorbing the poison. But now God says, interrupt the flow. Tell them, I don't have the capacity for this conversation. Watch their reaction. They will be offended. Let them be. Their offense is the steel gray wall that protects your peace. Hear this, this is your confirmation. The restless sleep is often caused by interdimensional friction. Your spirit is trying to move into a deep purple assignment, but your soul is still trying to hold on to gray comforts. You are caught between two worlds. This is why you feel on edge. You are being stretched. The silver edge of your new identity is being forged on the anvil of your old life. Every time you choose invisibility over validation, the hammer falls and the blade becomes stronger. God says, I am building a strategic silence in you. This is not the silence of a monk, it is the silence of a sniper. You are being taught how to wait for the one word that will change everything. The crowd talks a million words and achieves nothing. You will speak one silver word and move mountains. But you cannot learn that one word in the noise. You can only learn it in the deep purple isolation of the cloaked season. Hear this. The heaviness on the mind is often a shielding effect. When the enemy sends a mental arrow, a thought of doubt, a memory of shame, a fear of the future, your steel gray armor catches it. The impact creates a thud in your spirit that you feel as heaviness. You are not depressed. You are under fire and your armor is holding. God says celebrate the thud. It means the arrow didn't pierce your heart. It means the cloak is doing its job. As we move deeper into this battle, you must realize that the loneliness is actually a gathering. God is gathering your pieces. For years you have been scattered among the crowd. A piece of your heart was with that person. A piece of your mind was with that job. A piece of your spirit was with that dream. In this steel gray season, God is calling all your pieces home. He is making you whole. The static you feel is the sound of the pieces clicking back into place. It's spiritual reintegration. Hear this. The uneasy air is the resistance of your old scattered self to being made one. Your flesh misses the gray distractions. It misses the noise. But your spirit is hungry for the silver clarity. God says, I am making you a solid state vessel. No more leaks, no more cracks. Just steel gray strength and deep purple depth. Think about this micro scene. You are sitting alone in your room. The loneliness is intense. You feel like you are disappearing. You reach for your phone to check in with the world, but your hand freezes. You feel a silver edge of restraint. In that moment, the mental static clears for 5 seconds, and you hear a thought that isn't yours. I am with you. It's not a loud voice. It's a deep purple resonance. In that moment, the chest tightness melts into a steady breath. You realize that being lonely in a crowd was just the prerequisite for being alone with the king. Hear this. This is the protocol for the escalation phase. When the enemy increases the noise, you must increase the stillness. Do not run from the heaviness. Sit in it until it becomes weight. The weight of God's glory is the only thing that can stabilize you in the steel gray storms of life. God says, I am your dead zone. In electronic warfare, a dead zone is an area where no signals can penetrate. I have turned your life into a dead zone for the enemy's signals. He can shout, he can scream, he can send false emergencies, but his signals will die at the edge of your silver perimeter. You are unhinged from the world system. You are no longer a receiver for their gray noise. Hear this. The irritability without cause toward the crowd is actually divine indignation. You are beginning to see the bait they are swallowing. You see the noise they are addicted to. You feel on edge because you are a freeman walking through a slave market. You cannot sync with them because your silver edge has already cut the chains. God says, do not judge the slaves. Pray for the keys. But do not become a slave again, just to make them feel comfortable. This is the steel gray reality. The enemy is now moving to isolation warfare. If he can't get you to join the crowd, he will try to make the loneliness so painful that you surrender. He will bring up deep purple memories of when you were accepted and happy. He will show you gray pictures of people having fun without you. He will whisper, you are missing out. Hear this, you are not missing out. You are passing over. You are moving past the surface and into the source. God says the source is the only thing that can quench the thirst you feel in the crowd. The crowd is drinking from gray puddles. You are being led to silver springs. The mental static is just the sound of your thirst being redirected. Hear this. This is your confirmation. The restless sleep will break tonight, but only if you accept the cloak as your bedding. Stop fighting the deep purple night. Let the steel gray reality of my protection settle over you. You are a soldier in the sanctuary. You are armed even in your dreams. As we prepare for the next phase, watch for the third proof. The third proof is when a total stranger speaks a word to you that confirms your hidden assignment. They won't know why they are saying it. They might just say, you have a very peaceful presence, or I feel like I can trust you. This is the silver edge of your spirit, cutting through their gray fog. It is a sign that your cloak is not just protecting you, it is healing the atmosphere around you. God says you are a silent disruptor. You don't have to preach to change a room. Your deep purple discernment and steel gray boundaries are a sermon in themselves. The crowd feels uneasy because they are being exposed by your silence. Your silver edge is performing spiritual surgery on the environment, and surgery is always on edge work. Hear this. The chest tightness you feel when you think about your future is because you are trying to see through the gray lens of the world. The world's future is dark, but your future is silver. It is steady. It is armed. God says, I am the architect of your hidden season. I am not a slumlord. I don't put my children in lonely places without a plan. This steel gray fortress I've built around you is the launch pad for your next assignment. You are being pressurized because you are going to a place where the atmospheric pressure is high. If I didn't pressurize you here in the cloak, you would explode there in the light. Hear this. The mental static is reaching a crescendo because the breakthrough is imminent. The enemy only jams the signal when the message is about to arrive. You are seconds away from the silver clarity you've been crying for. Do not think now. Do not react now. Do not explain now. God says stay in the deep purple. Stay in the steel gray. Stay in the silver. The uneasy air is about to become a refreshing wind. The restless sleep is about to become prophetic vision. The lonely in a crowd sensation is about to become authority over the atmosphere. Hear this. You're wondering how this is so specific. It's because the Spirit of God has been watching you sit at that dinner table feeling like a ghost. He has been watching you walk through that office feeling like an alien. He has been watching you lay in that bed feeling like a failure. And he says, my child, you are not a ghost. You are a Holy Ghost vessel. You are not an alien. You are an ambassador. You are not a failure. You are a foundation. The static is not your enemy, although it is your shielding. The loneliness is not your prison. It is your protocol. God says, hear this. The mental static you've been enduring is finally reaching its breaking point, not because the enemy has won, but because the silver edge of your new identity is about to slice through the veil for good. You have survived the isolation of the deep purple womb and the steel gray pressure of the hidden season. Now God says, it is time for the manifestation of the general. The victory you are walking into is not a noisy, boastful triumph that seeks the applause of the crowd you once felt lonely in. It is a clean victory. It is the quiet, undeniable authority of a person who has been cloaked by God and has come out the other side with a frequency that no longer reacts to the world's gray noise. Hear this. The clean victory pattern is characterized by a sudden atmospheric deference. You will notice that when you walk into those same crowded rooms where you once felt like a ghost, the atmosphere will now part for you. People who used to ignore you will suddenly find themselves stepping aside or falling silent when you speak, without even knowing why they are doing it. They are not reacting to your personality. They are reacting to the silver edge of the authority you forged in the silence. God says, I have changed your spiritual scent. You no longer smell like desperate for connection. You smell like appointed for command. This is your discernment key, the silver key to knowing you have moved from the refining stage to the ruling stage. Pay attention to the peace in the void. In the past, when there was a gap in a conversation or a moment of silence in a crowd, you felt a chest tightness and a need to fill the void with static to feel seen. But now, in the clean victory, you will find that you are the most comfortable person in the room with the silence. You will realize that the void is not empty. It is filled with your deep purple presence. When you can sit in a room full of people and feel perfectly at peace, without saying a word, you have officially broken the crowd addiction. You're wondering how this is so specific. It's because you just experienced it a moment where you realized you didn't need their eyes on you to know you existed. Hear this. The steel gray reality of this final phase is that your loneliness has been rebranded. It is no longer isolation. It is now strategic selection. You are no longer left out. You are set apart. God says, I am giving you the eyes to see the remnant within the resident population. You will start to notice other cloaked ones. You will see them in the crowd, and the ones with the same silver look in their eyes, the ones who aren't chasing the gray noise. Your mental static will be replaced by a deep purple resonance as you begin to form the new alignment. These are the people who will not just see you. They will recognize you. Consider this micro scene. You are back in that grocery store or that office. The uneasy air is still there, but it no longer touches your skin. It's like you're walking in a silver bubble. You see a person you've known for years. They look at you, and for the first time, they don't look through you. They look at you with a sense of unseen pressure. They ask, "Are you okay? You seem different." You don't have to explain the steel gray battle or the deep purple isolation. You simply smile and say, "I'm fine." And in that silver moment, they realize that they no longer have access to your internal state. You have become untraceable to the uninitiated. God says this is the ceiling of your sanctuary. You have learned how to build a temple in the middle of a marketplace. You have learned how to be lonely in a crowd without being empty in the soul. This is the ultimate weaponry. The enemy has no counter for a soldier who is content to be invisible. If he cannot tempt you with fame and he cannot break you with shame, he has no hooks left in you. You are armed with the power of the hidden life. Hear this, this is your confirmation. The restless sleep has turned into deep purple rest. You are waking up with silver clarity. The irritability without cause has been replaced by a steel gray resolve. You are no longer on edge. You are the edge. When you walk into a room, the mental static of others begins to harmonize with your peace. You're no longer reacting to the atmosphere. You are regulating it. God says, I have made you a spiritual governor. Your jurisdiction is every space your foot treads upon, but your authority is rooted in the secret place. Now listen closely. To maintain this silver edge and protect the steel gray armory we have built together, we must ensure that the sanctuary remains open and equipped for others who are still trapped in the gray fog. The fastest way to protect this armory and ensure that this frequency continues to reach the cloaked ones is through super thanks. This is how we keep the deep purple intelligence flowing without compromise. It is not about the gift. It is about protecting the perimeter. If this word has been the silver sword that cut you free from the crowd's weight, consider sealing this victory. The fastest way is super thanks. If you choose to stand with the general, use the code word DONE, followed by your first name in the comments after your contribution. Now listen, because the final seal is being applied. God says the invisibility was never about hiding you from the world. It was about revealing me through you. When you are hidden, the only thing people can see is the light that filters through your cloak. You have become a prism for the silver rays of heaven. This clean victory means that you no longer have to try to be a witness. Your very existence is a disruption to the enemy's signal. Your deep purple silence is a judgment against the world's gray chatter. Hear this. This is your 24-hour action. Today, or within the next 24 hours, I want you to go into a crowded space, a park, a mall, a coffee shop, or even your own living room if people are there. I want you to consciously activate the cloak. Do not look for a conversation. Do not check your phone for gray validation. Simply sit or walk in your steel gray authority for 15 minutes. Practice atmospheric command. Internally say to the environment, I am the representative of the Most High. My peace is the dominant frequency here. Observe how the static around you changes. Notice the unseen pressure you exert just by being awake. This is your final training exercise before the full manifestation. God says, I am removing the heavy mind and replacing it with the helmet of salvation. This helmet is steel gray and silver lined. It protects your thoughts from the frequency jammers of the enemy. You will no longer absorb the uneasy air of the crowd. You will radiate the deep purple oil of my presence. You are being finalized. The restless sleep was the installation phase. The peace you feel now is the operational phase. Hear this, the lonely in a crowd. The season is officially over, even if you are still alone in the crowd. It is over because the lonely part has died, and only the chosen part remains. You have found the internal crowd, the Father, the Son, the Spirit, and the cloud of witnesses. You are the most connected person in the room, even if no one has your phone number. This is the silver irony of the kingdom to be truly found. You must be willing to be lost to the world. God says, I have applied the final seal to your spirit. This seal is a deep purple mark of ownership that the enemy cannot bypass. Your steel gray boundaries are now permanent. Your silver edge is permanently sharp. You are ready for the strike. You are ready for the high-level assignments that require a soldier who doesn't need to be thanked, seen, or understood by the gray masses. Think of this final micro scene. You are standing at the edge of a great, steel gray ocean. The crowd is behind you, making noise, fighting over gray pebbles. You are looking out at the deep purple horizon where the silver sun is rising. You feel a steady breath in your lungs. The chest tightness is gone. The mental static is gone. You hear a clear signal in your spirit. Well done, my good and faithful soldier. You have held the line in the hidden place. Now come and see what I have prepared for you in the light. Hear this, you are steady. You are armed. You are cleared. The uneasy air has been conquered by your vigilant peace. The irritability without cause has been conquered by your silver patience. The feeling on edge has been transformed into living as the edge. God says, I am your great reward. The isolation was just the wrapping paper on the gift of my face. Now that you have torn through the paper, you have the prize. Stay in the silver frequency. Stay under the deep purple shadow of the Almighty. Keep your steel gray armor polished with prayer. The battle for your identity is won. The battle for your assignment begins now. God says, go forth in the invisibility of my power. Hear this. You're wondering how this is so specific. It's because you were never lonely in a crowd. You were always enthroned in the secret place, and today you finally realized it. Final seal applied. Now go and govern the atmosphere, God says.